What up? Hello. Here we are, part 16 of Horizon Forbidden West with a therapist. Hey, 16 means that Aloy could drive. Wouldn't that be nice if we could drive to Vegas? Because Lord knows it's taken me forever to get there. I promised that we were going to go to Vegas the last couple episodes and it hasn't happened. Maybe it'll happen tonight. No idea. But hello and welcome. Leave a like, leave a comment, follow the links down in the description, all that fun stuff. All right? We're having fun here. I appreciate immensely your willingness to watch this series. So thank you for continuing to show up to these episodes. You're the best. If you think other people might enjoy these, please share. It's really the greatest way that you can support the channel. All right. Camp Nowhere. We got to go find this Oseram who ran away, which it's kind of understandable why this Oseram ran away. So I don't, you know. Oh, she really ran away. Wow. Like, away. We'll go get her. And if she don't want to come back, then I can't say I'm gonna blame her. Oh, what's up, dude? Dripping acid like a boss? Let's go. Yeah, she's apparently in Northern California. Oh! Oh, whoa! That is the stratosphere. Behold its majesty. Oh, baby. And there's Paris. Wow, so the strip's over here. I did not think we were here yet. I really didn't. What? What? And Excalibur is over there. Ah! All right. This chick just went to Vegas. Oh my god.
Looks like an awesome camp. But where is everyone? My focus might show me more. That's a lot of green shine. Whoever made camp here must have found a large deposit.
Oh, look at that. They even have the, like, the spinny ride thing and stuff. Oh, man. Oh, God.
The Oseram I met said someone in their crew ran off in this direction. I should keep my eyes open.
They definitely don't close them.
Get away from my rig! Damn scavengers!
Sounds like someone's in trouble. I wonder if there's another cauldron over I dig on that one.
Leave my stuff alone! Get away from that thing!
I think she's gonna need some backup.
Did they get to it?
Please be intact. Please.
Ooh.
I should make sure she's okay.
Supply drop required. Oh. Pray again. I left a note for you.
Yes, it's still working.
What?
142. Supply drop required.
All right, wire to the spike is still intact. Rig's still playing.
I left a
You
note.
okay there? You took out those machines. I'm grateful, but you should go now. There's nothing to see here. So this rig of yours, it's receiving sound through that wire from the thing up on the cliff, what you call a spike. But the message is only a fragment, and you're trying to pick up the whole thing? How did you figure all that out?
Not
I've learned a few things in my travels.
deductive reasoning. Also, not that hard.
If you want, we could talk about it. Maybe I can help? You do seem downright knowledgeable. So go ahead. Shoot. You're no ordinary tinker. Didn't used to be a tinker at all. More of a metal worker. Came from Mainspring. I can weld a seam so fine you could barely see it. Not that I ever got any credit for it. You see, up there, you've got to be a man to get ahead. I once had a shot at joining a first-rate crew with one of the best forges in the claim. But I didn't get the job. My own brother wouldn't vouch for me just because I'm of the female persuasion. Anyhow, at least out here I don't have to worry about any mainspring men talking down to me.
You're here. Glad to see that male insecurity has made its way 1,000 years into the future.
Sounds like you're still mad at your brother. Some days I am. Other days, I miss him. He's passed on, you see. He didn't have the guts to go against the blast of the bellows and vouch for a lady. Even his own sister. It was cowardly, and I told him so. In fact, I told him we weren't family no more. But over time, I've had cause to regret it. He wasn't a bad sort. He knew how to make me smile when he wasn't being such a lout. I'm sorry he's gone. Yeah. So am I. Blast it all.
Well, that is certainly a bummer. And chat saying, I bet Apollo had a module combating that and everything. Probably did. I went back and forth while she was talking, trying to figure out whether I wanted to go here or not. But I feel like it's worthwhile. And I'm going to say up front that, I'm making some, not generalizations, but just, you're going to, you'll know what I mean as I go through this. So, we right now, as people playing this game, have the benefit of basically looking at this and being like, oh God, stupid men, like I just did. Which, yeah. But I do think that it is important to understand from a like historical survival management standpoint, why this dynamic of men essentially controlling things other than in the Nora would exist, and why it like essentially like makes it very difficult, like it's essentially set up for it to be difficult for women through time as a result. When we think about the early years of humanity, which for all intents and purposes we're living out right now in this game, the main thing that you are fighting against is the environment. And as a result, and we've seen this in tribes like the Tenakth and the Banuk, there is a real premium placed on like physical prowess as a means to survive the environment. I am not making the generalization that like men are stronger than women, but physiologically there are advantages that folks born male have often, particularly like in this time. And those things matter, and as a result, there's like a power that inherently comes from that. Well, as you develop things like technology, and as society itself develops, physical prowess is no longer the most important thing. So, but when you have power, no matter how you got it, when you have power and you have control, it is not an easy thing for people to relinquish, in this case, men. So again, there are absolutely women in this world who can fight. Like I'm like walking on eggshells here because I can just hear people being like, "Die there, man! You're that!" Like that's not what I'm doing. All right, Jesus, you bear with me here. Okay, as we evolve to a point where that physical prowess is not the thing that is most important to survival, it becomes more nuanced. Well, if you're men in this case and you were used to having a lot of power just by virtue of being men who are associated with having a bit more physical prowess to be able to hold their own in the environment, you are not going to want to relinquish that power. So then what you do is you find ways to maintain it in a very like artificial way. And this world has done, Guerrilla has built a world that has done this in a very realistic way. We saw this in the Karja with the Hunter's Lodge. So there's this like push for no women allowed. Don't let them in. So that is like one of the ways that they do it. The Oseram. This woman is probably fully equipped and able to do all of that, of what she wanted to do and be with them and be like a metal worker and fight like what all that is. And she got iced out by dudes. So there is this, again, like I'm using gender in this scenario because that's what this woman is talking about. But like the real transcending pattern here is that when a certain group of people, whatever identity is that they hold, has power, in order to have an equalized societal structure of like spread out power and control, in order to elevate other people, you do have to relinquish some control as a dominant group. And most dominant groups are not actively willing to do that. And will find very out and left field ways to try to maintain that status quo, because power and control no matter how it is that that manifests itself, is akin to surviving the environment. So you could very well see in the Nora that men are oppressed. It's not so much men so much as it is people who are like Aloy, where they're like motherless. Like that was the big thing. But even the Nora find ways to try to hold certain people in positions of power to maintain status quo. So there again, that's the transcendental dynamic here. And it is really like it's beautifully simple, but it's also incredibly complicated, because as we evolve and move technology faster than our species is able to keep up with, we start seeing these artificial boundaries that people run into, where this perfectly capable person is boxed out of something that she would be great at, potentially. I mean, we don't know her that well, because of these arbitrary things that are created to hold people in a position of power when maybe they don't need to have it anymore. Or maybe it needs to be equalized. And people will cling on to that for dear life. And it's a real shame. This is what humans do, because we're animals and we want to survive the environment. Power and control, possession of resources, ultimate way to survive the environment. So we cling on to it, and we're all susceptible to it. And yeah, she's got every right to be pissed at her brother.
Your rig's impressive. How does it work? Well, like you said, the spike up there seems to capture the sound. It travels by wire down to my contraption. I put some coils in there and a light sheet of metal that vibrates, making the sound louder. I'm not exactly sure why it works, but it just does. And you set it up out here all alone? I'm not the trusting type. Pretty much everything I do is all alone. How did you first hear the message? I used to be a smith up in the claim. Wasn't an easy life. A lot of hard work without much to show for it. Then, one day, I heard a whisper coming from a steel rod. Faint, like the last fingers of steam coming off a cooling forge. When I moved the rod around, the whispers got louder. I did some tinkering, built my rig, and did my best to follow that sound. Further west I came, the stronger it got. Then I found that spike up there. When I hooked up my rig, the words were clearer than ever. What do you think the message is? I don't know. There's something sad about it. Feels like it's from one lost soul to another. I'd sure like to know what it means.
I could help with that.
Let me have a look at that spike. I might be able to pick up more of that message.
How?
Let's just say I have a rig of my own.
I didn't know Nora were tinkers.
They're not, but I am, in a way. Be right back.
I only belabor this point because it's just so relatable to what it is that we do in real life. Like, it's just such a... And it's something that, like... I don't think it's done maliciously, but I really think it boxes us in. Like, language is so important. So when she says, I didn't think the Nora were tinkerers... Think about, like... how ridiculous a statement like that actually is. Like, I didn't think Americans liked sushi. I didn't think Raiders fans liked winning. You know, like, it's so fascinating how quickly we will take an entire group of people and assume that they are like hugely homogenous. Like the idea that an entire people, that all of the Nora don't tinker is ridiculous, right? Like, because tinkering is a way of interfacing with the environment that we would likely see transcend groups just in different ways. So, did she mean that in a bad way? No. But when you really think about that kind of language, it's invalidating of the subjective experience of a person. Like, Aloy could be somebody who plays with the Nora version of Lego all the time. And this person just assumed to know a whole bunch of things about her because she's Nora. And just completely blows past the possibility that perhaps they have something in common. And inadvertently, what that's doing is potentially shutting this person out from having the opportunity to establish meaningful relationships with people who might share some similar interests. Because if she's like, well, why would I ever interface with a Nora? They don't tinker. And like Aloy's the ultimate engineer of the Nora. This person may just not even engage with her at all and miss out because of that sweeping generalization. Try not to do that if you can help it. Like, try to acknowledge that there will always be a subjective experience that is not fully aligned with the generalizations of a group or identity that a person belongs to. It's way more fun to engage with humanity that way than to box everybody in.
Well, okay then. I guess.
Go to the spike on the cliff.
Just follow the wire to the spike at the top. And then please, just don't break anything.
Okay. Whoo. Hi, Dr. Mick. Is it okay for the stream if I ask a general question to a therapist? If not, I can ask on another day. You can use the questions for Dr. Mick channel in Discord, or if you pop by at the opening 45 minutes to an hour of a stream, that's a good time to ask those questions. But I do appreciate that you're here.
Better get climbing.
During these, I try to only answer questions that are related to the game, but those are your two avenues. For those of you watching on YouTube, if you didn't know, the opening hour-ish of every stream that I do of this is a Q&A and chat. So if you ever have questions for me that are not related to what happens in these playthroughs, I encourage you to go follow that Twitch link down in the description and come hang out with us sometime. I'm happy to answer them. Alright, follow the wire. Wow, I can actually climb this, huh?
Gotta give her credit, lugging all that wire up a cliff wall.
So yeah, no kidding.
There's the spike. Might get better reception if I'm next to it.
Supply drop beacon. Power. Please get the note.
Enduring victory. Interesting. Can't seem to get a fix on where the signal's coming from, though. Well, better let the Tinker know I got a bit more of the message.
Dude, okay. So, stratosphere, Paris. This would be like the Win or Palazzo Venetian.
This ought to be a good shortcut.
Yeah, no shit. Whoa. I don't see the Luxor. It'd be awesome if the beam was still working at night.
A rush of air. Your rig is picking up an old world message. A recording of some kind.
Thought as much. Did you hear more of it?
A bit. It was recorded during a war. A bad one.
Maybe that's why it sounds so darn sad. There's something about it that makes me think of my late brother. May his ashes stay warm in the forge. Not sure why exactly.
I still can't get a fix on the source.
Well, the words grew stronger when I got out here.
What if you moved the rig now? Try to see if you can get a stronger signal elsewhere.
Even if I could dodge the Tenakth and the machines, I can't lose that spike. Nothing else pulls down the words better.
Okay. If it's an old world message, then let's try old world methods. They used to pinpoint signals by listening for them at 3 different spots. The taller the better. And then they combined the information and used it to find the source.
And you can do that.
I think so. But your spike is only 1 spot. I need 2 more, both up high.
Oh. Well, there's a big bright tower in the Tenakth territory north of here.
Yeah, that should work. I have another spot in mind, near a place I'm, camping.
Wait. I don't know your name. Or why you do all of this for someone you just met.
Aloy. And because I want to know what's out there. Same as you.
Selga. And when you find it, Aloy, I'd be eager to hear what it is.
Why don't we just go stand on top of the stratosphere? I bet that's a good high spot. It's actually kind of funny that the stratosphere is a low spot, because stratosphere is a high spot. Holy Christ! This better be worth it. Jesus! Alright, well, we got to look at Vegas today. Oh, look at that. Look at that Thunderjaw chilling out there. Is this a salt flat? We went up to Salt Lake. Didn't realize this game was based on real world locations. Yeah, dude, it's awesome. Loosely, but it is. Very cool. Dead Thunderjaw over there.
Doesn't look like there's any way to climb this tall neck.
There's always a way, Aloy. San Francisco is the only other location I know for sure is in this game, but, well, I'm sure we'll find out the other ones.
What'd I give for a cool breeze?
Oh, shit.
From here, not onto us.
Sounds like there are people in trouble.
Nora! Hey! Over here! You, Nora! Can you assist us with these chargers?
We're fighting the Chargers!
That doesn't mean you can stop fighting them!
These Chargers must be from Los Angeles,
Now we have a chance!
which is why they're losing this battle.
We're not out of this yet!
Pick your target!
That's the last of the Chargers. Let's find out what those Tenakth are doing here.
Hatakto! Over here!
Yeah.
Next time, Hatakto.
I'm, guessing you're a Tenakth patrol. How did you end up in trouble with those Chargers?
You need to answer our questions. We don't answer yours.
Hatakto, she just fought on our side.
That doesn't mean she's an ally.
That's pretty much exactly what that means. And we've enough to do, chasing down these Regala zealots without picking fights with Nora warriors.
Regala's desert Tenakth. We should be fighting alongside her instead of sitting this out.
Regala has forgotten her duty, and let her anger at the Carja draw us into... We will speak about this later. You fought with courage and honor. You're free to go on to the Grove, Nora.
The Grove?
Our capital. If you want to spend time in this area, you'd be wise to check in with the commanders there.
If Regala's broken her duty, then why aren't we bringing her to justice?
Because we follow orders. And orders are we stay neutral in this fight.
What sort of soldier hides from a fight?
It's questions like that that got us posted to guard duty here, Hatakto.
You should probably listen to her, dude. She seems pretty sharp. Well, I wasn't exactly planning on going to the Tenakth capital, but you know, when have we ever done what we were planning to do in this game? Holy shit! That looks like the, doesn't that kind of look like the tower from Wind Waker that Ganondorf hangs out in? Or like, that's what it reminds me of. Yeah, I mean this has solar farm vibes. Oh boy. Hey everybody, what's up? Howdy ho. I proved myself worthy.
Alright, what's wrong?
I heard the champion conquered the arena, and I missed it. I was stuck on guard duty.
That's right.
That tower should help me pinpoint Silga's signal.
Wait, you were there?
Hey guys, can I just like go up there?
I'll see you at training later. Outland. Work.
All right, everybody here's pretty chill so far. The hell is this guy doing? You getting tattoos, bro? Oh! He is! Look at this shit!
I have a question for you, Outlander. Come. Honor and strength.
Whoa! Getting a little stick and poke action going on here?
Move, soldier, move!
Wow, what a ridiculously unsanitary way to do this. But hey, good for you guys.
You look like someone who'd rise to the challenge of the melee pits.
What's up,
You
Zoka?
wanted to speak to me?
The name's Zoka. Have you heard from up north? From Bleeding Mark?
I'm guessing that's a place.
One of the desert's villages. They send their yield of ash blood so the Bereka over there can mark the skin of our soldiers. But it's been a long time since the last supply run. Too long.
If you think something happened to them, can't you send someone to go check?
Were it up to me. But with everyone fuming about our water rations, the commander can't spare any soldiers. My face paint will strike fear in your enemies. Take a look.
Will it? Oh. Oh, I can get my face painted. It's like I'm at the fair. There you go. Dark eyes, dark lips. What do you think? Get that, that's a choice. Oh! Yeesh. I mean, Mark of Pride's pretty badass. Oh, that's awesome that they included that in the game. Look at that. Not really interested in face painting.
You mentioned the village up north sends some supplies to the capital. Ash blood?
It's a crimson stone that we grind into powder for our ink. Bleeding Mark has the largest supply. Our soldiers there gather and deliver it to us, in exchange for their water rations.
Die for water.
Everyone in the clan depends on the wound in the sand for their water. Capital and outlying village alike. But the last delivery of ash blood was weeks ago. Our supply is running low. So must be their water.
If I'm out that way, I can look in on the village. Find out what's the delay.
You have my thanks. Head north to a ruin where the desert meets the mountains. That's Bleeding Mark. Ask for Kentok or Natika there. They'll know what's going on.
Alright. The deluge. Man, we are just racking up side quests. And we have seen maybe half the map. Okay. Hey, my brother, do you know how to climb this? Oh, do you have cool armor? What do you got? What do you got, dog? Ooh. Oh, shit. Look at that. That's intense, dude. What? Karja's shadow dripping. Oh, baby. Dude. Oh. And this Karja one's really cool. I do quite like this. I'm not really into the Utaru look. I'm not trying to like adorn myself with palm leaves. Oseram's kind of lame. Dude, this. Ah, man, that's cool, but Ooh, baby, 2,000 shards for that. I mean, I guess I could buy shit. I don't have to wear it just because I buy it. Although it does take a Sunwing circulator. Oh man, I don't know. That is a powerful... Oh man. If I recall correctly... Okay, yeah, so I can transmog. So I could get a really powerful piece of gear and then transmog it. So... I could essentially buy the... Because I basically want one that's good with bows. Which this one is. This one's like really good. All right. All right. I mean... I wish there was a way... yeah, man. I like this outfit too much. I just want the stats. I guess I am curious to see what that looks like without the helmet. Isn't there a way to turn off her helmets? Oh, there we go. Show headpiece. There we go. All right. So now, although I like her headband in that one, but if I put this on,
Everything that's happened, I feel like I need to do more. For the clan, the tribe. Okay. I'll join too then.
I mean, all right, we'll rock it for a little bit. We'll see if it grows on me.
You up for a game of strike later?
Gotta climb up to look for Silga's signal. But where to start? Keep climbing to pinpoint that signal. Just a little higher.
I blend in at least when I wear this.
Almost there.
Yeah. Holy crap, dude. Oh no! Oh god! Holy shit. Oh boy. Oh, I saved it. All right. Yeah. Okay. How do other people get up here?
Let's see if I can pick up Silga's signal.
Field of view on this. Look at that up there. Oh, man. Okay. Game's just so freaking beautiful.
Start point 14 to enduring victory. Supply drop beacon. Home. I'm pretty good. The note.
Well, I got more of the message, but not enough to find the source yet. Climbing the mountain where my base is should finish the job.
Okay. Jataka. Oh yeah, that's right. Jataka's here. He's got like secrets to tell me. Ooh.
Why would the wound give less water?
These rations barely get us through the day, Commander.
Our children are thirsty.
Doesn't Command have reserves?
Why put guards around the wound?
You can't just take away our water.
The wound gives less water. Our rations adjust.
What's going on?
We know the way of the desert! What's stopping us from taking what we want? And
Anyone else want to complain? We're the Desert Clan. We survive with what we have.
Your, commander's not much for hand-holding.
That is not our way. Even less so in her case. Shall we?
Sure. Can't wait.
She's with me.
Draka's not the only one with harsh words for your commander.
The desert has bred survival into our clan's blood. We spit at death and charge into battle. Maybe a little too eagerly.
The desert's ours.
Wow, that's pretty badass. You've got a pet vulture? You kidding me? Or condor? Are they the same? Maybe they're the same thing? I don't know. Badass.
So, this is the Outlander conspiring with the dissident Draka.
Demanding water does not make one a dissident, Yara.
Doesn't make Draka a commander either. You should advise him of that.
Jataka said you needed help.
Did he now?
Aloy has a unique insight into the ways of the Old Ones. She might be able to fix this before it gets out of hand.
Get to the point. What is Jataka talking about?
There is no water.
What do you mean?
I mean the wound in the sand, that which provides the clan with the water we need to survive, is completely dry.
Yeah, you know, well, just tell everybody and cause mass hysteria and panic. This is one of those, like, absolutely nightmarish scenarios from a political perspective, because you really have to determine, is it a good idea for us to tell everybody the truth and have them freak the hell out and at least fall back on the idea of, like, okay, well, you know, at least they know? Or do you try to fix this without people knowing so that maybe you get it figured out and then people don't ever know and aren't any worse for wear? It is, I mean, this is the type of decision making you have to do in these positions of power that is really unenviable. And you can feel some of the civil unrest here. Understandably so, because everybody has their life to live. They're needing resources. They need water. And when the powers that be are more cryptic than you would like, it can really suck. But it's like, we have information that potentially makes it worse if it's out there. Because, unfortunately, you cannot trust groupthink to be safe and healthy. Groupthink can turn into real organized chaos very fast in a very terrible way. And if you cause this mass hysteria and panic when you still have time, you may inadvertently put people in danger more than they would have been if you waited. Again, there's no right or wrong answer here. I don't have all the information to know what the right answer would be with this. It's just a nightmare, and it's very difficult. And it puts real tension between positions of power and constituents that is unenviable.
This water source. Jataka said it's somehow related to the old ones?
From what we can tell, whatever water we take, it restores on its own. Over time. A few weeks ago, it stopped. I ordered rationing, searched for other viable sources. But everything else nearby is tainted one way or another.
But why the secrecy? Keeping your people in the dark seems to be making things worse.
If the clan knew, my command would be challenged.
There's no water, and you're worrying about keeping your command?
Think what you want. Between the machines, the storms, and Regala's uprising, I'm the only thing keeping this clan from falling apart.
She could very well be right about that. Oh, man. Oh, my God. Oh, God. What about the idea of more minds to solve the issue? Well, there's the law of diminishing returns on that. You have to have the optimal amount of diversity of thought to solve problems without oversaturating it. Because if you bring too many people in, it starts to just it's a cacophony, and it's not actually helpful. Like, it's really hard to find. It's not an exact science. It's very hard to find the optimal amount of people in order to solve a problem that's going to affect way more people than who are trying to solve it. Man, there is a reason that when something really adverse and chaotic happens, people in positions in power are left in power and even voted to continue to stay in power. Because when you have changes in leadership, whether, sole person or whole group, however it is that you run, that can also be chaotic. And so when people are already feeling really significant tension, it may actually be a bad thing to have leadership turnover. Now, again, I don't know enough about the actual politics of this specific tribe to know whether this woman is a great leader or not. But her desire to hold command and try to solve this, I can actually get on board with that. I don't think it's quite as selfish as Aloy seems to be insinuating that it is. I think it's probably one of those things where it's like, we can't let this leak out and cause a nightmare. We have no idea what's going to happen if everybody all of a sudden learns that there's no water, and if they misattribute it to her. It may not even, it's not even necessarily her fault. She's a scapegoat for it. So if she can get this fixed and the colony doesn't know that anything ever happened, that doesn't exactly benefit her either, unless she decides to use it as a political bargaining chip. She very well could fix this issue and people have no idea, and so she's not going to stand to gain from that. The shit's complicated, man. It's why most people don't want to take on political office and positions of leadership, because you got to deal with this shit. You got to make these calls with a bazillion unknown variables. The what ifs are up the wazoo on this. And so you have to figure out which ones you want to attend to and which ones you don't. And it can be really tough to know which ones are the good ones to go with and which ones aren't. So I can appreciate the desire to keep it behind closed doors for right now. At some point, though, if you reach a point of no return, if she continues to hold her position and save face despite that, that would not be good. We just don't know exactly where it is. Oh my God. I really want to appreciate, and I hope that those of you that are watching this are vicariously doing this as well. I really want to appreciate the level of complexity that's involved with this. It is so easy for all of us to just kind of take a quick, well, what about this, or do this, or do that, or do this. But if you think about the physics of decision making, every decision you make has an inadvertent effect on other things. So tell people about the water shortage. Well, now what happens? Now what mess do you have to clean up? Maybe there's a history of the Tenakth that would let us know that it's maybe not safe. Maybe there was a water shortage back in, 3011, and when everybody found out about it, it was a nightmare. Does that predict the next one? Not necessarily, but it's information we have to use. Water is already being used as a bargaining chip for the Tenakth survival, and so this is a super dicey affair. It's not as easy as just like, okay, we'll tell the people or don't tell the people. It's who do you tell, how, and when? At what point in this process do you make the call that this is FUBAR versus does this seem like a rectifiable problem? You really got to sit with this shit. And meanwhile, the longer you sit with it, the more inaction there is on it. And then there's civil unrest because they perceive inaction on it, despite the fact that you're trying to think it out. Because again, they have immediate needs that they're trying to get met. Politics is complicated.
Draka's people sacrificed a lot to get that water. He thinks you're hoarding it for yourself.
The perfect excuse to challenge my command. Like he's always wanted. Of course he makes it sound very noble. That he only cares about his thirsty people. But all he really wants is to be in charge.
This, my friends, is a beautiful example of a concept called personalization. Personalization is when you take certain events or dynamics and you overly attribute the reasoning for the existence of those things to be about you. Or you filter your understanding and perception of somebody's potential motives or explanation of a thing through your own ego. It is entirely possible that what she just said is true. It very well could be that he's just trying to take her command and he's spinning all these stories. But that's all it is it's just a possibility. It is also entirely possible that this guy really just genuinely wants his people to have water and survive. And we had a bit of an interaction with him that would suggest that that is indeed the case. When people are feeling a heightened sense of insecurity about things that are important to them, in this case, her position as the commander, there is a tendency to over-personalize as a way to take control of the narrative and to make a decision about your motives for certain actions that you may take either against or in reference to that thing that you've personalized. And it's a very frustrating thing to deal with when people do this all the time. If you use personalization as a way to control the narrative and spawn your motivations and agenda, you really ought to consider that there are so many other factors that are potentially available as an explanation for the behaviors of others, the majority of which have nothing or little to do with you. We are all the center of our own world, but we are not the center of other people's worlds. And the understanding of that is very important because it means that you can diversify the potential explanations for why people operate the way they do and why things happen the way that they do. There may be some level of accountability and involvement that you have, but it's likely not as heightened as you may believe. And so her over-personalization of this means she's making a whole bunch of assumptions and therefore decisions that may be based on things that are not actually existing. And that's a problem. Be careful.
And if he was, he'd face the exact same problem I have. There is simply not enough water to go around.
So how are you going to deal with not having any water?
Ration what little we have. Buy time to fix the wound.
And in the meantime, people die of thirst?
Every corpse weighs on me. That is what it means to be a commander. What matters is that the clan survives as a whole.
Even that, it's a little complicated, but even that is just, it's a bit of a degree of personalization. Now, I appreciate immensely when leaders see the adversity of their constituents as something that they are in part responsible for. I do think that that is important. Because I ride people's asses for being out of touch with their constituents and not taking accountability. Like, I would much prefer that she see people die from dehydration and say to herself, this is something that in my position, I am responsible for rectifying and figuring out. Now, is every single water death on her? No. There is certainly some flexibility there. Perhaps a person gets a water ration and they just guzzle it down instead of using it for the duration of time in which they need to use it. In which case, if that person dies of dehydration, is it necessarily her fault? No. Right? Like the water shortage itself is not really her fault. If she put a pipeline in and was like siphoning it out to another camp for her own benefit, then yeah, it's her fault. But like, if this is a natural spring that's dried up, my theory being because Poseidon's doing something with it, then is it really on her? No. Is the lack of problem solving around it really her fault? Kind of. Right? So it's like one of those things where, again, you got to be really careful. Like, is it important to like take some degree of accountability as a leader for the things that are happening to your constituents? 100%. Is it your responsibility to solely blame yourself for those things? No, that's not healthy either because it could reinforce bad behaviors amongst the citizens. Complicated shit. Do people in positions of power naturally tend to personalize things more? I don't think you can make that generalization. I don't know of any research or anything like that that would suggest that there's any kind of significant difference as it relates to that. There might be, but I don't think we want to go there. I think it's just represented more because a person in a position of leadership is more likely to talk this way. But no, I mean, you'll see personalization amongst people who aren't in positions of power all the time.
Draka said your clan won't touch Regala.
Her grudge is with Chief Hikaru, not me. And I plan to keep it that way, so her troops don't turn on my clan. Besides, if she defeats Hikaru, she deserves to rule. That's the way of the tribe.
They are consistent.
I can't promise anything, but if this wound was built by the old ones, I might be able to fix it.
How exactly do you intend to do that?
Just show her the wound, Yara.
Very well. You can tell me when we get there.
After you.
The wound in the sand is this way.
All right, so that's what we're doing then.
You're not Karja or Oseram.
I was born amongst the Nora, as far east as you are west.
I've heard of your people. They say only those who are exiled leave your lands.
There are exceptions.
What business does a Nora exception have in the West?
Believe it or not, to help people, even the ones who don't want it.
Sounds like a difficult path.
Appreciate the empathy. I hate games that make the protagonist run faster than the NPCs. Why is this still a thing in 2023? Oh my god.
This is it. The wound in the sand.
Definitely built by the old ones. Focus should show me more. Pipes leading outside the settlement.
What do you see?
A trail.
Oh, so this is not a spring. Oh, wow.
What are you doing?
Your wound leads underground.
We've tried going down there, but it's too narrow for anyone to reach the bottom. Where are you going?
I think I can lead us to where the water comes from. Or used to.
How?
Doesn't matter.
What matters is that the wound is fixed and my people survive. Lead the way.
Oh man, this is super interesting.
Machines.
Yeah, that's what they call them.
Those flowers. The ground's wet too. The vein must have leaked here. Not enough to be the cause of the missing water, but enough for these plants to grow. We're on the right track.
You see all that from a patch of wet sand?
Yep.
Sure do.
That mound. It looks like the metal from the wound. We really are following its trail.
As I've been saying.
The desert kills, but it also surprises.
I should check where the pipes are headed with my focus.
Nobody saw that water. They're dying of thirst, and there's a puddle right there, right? A little odd.
There's a lot of machines.
They didn't try
And
very
a
hard.
very dead soldier.
See one of yours?
I need to take a closer look.
We need to get rid of the machines first. Follow my lead.
I'm ready to fight!
Take this ammo!
You hit it hard! There goes the piece. Take it down!
Dude, these hippos are like really well armed.
You know him?
That is one of Draka's men. I will cut off that dissident's head and feed it to the vultures if he had anything to do with...
We don't know what happened here yet. And we still have a trail to follow.
Lead the way.
God, she's... You know, you gotta keep a bit of a level head here, man. Like, you don't know shit about what happened. I mean, I get it. Things are tense. This is really dire, but like...
Water. Barely a lick's worth. But there are no streams in this area.
Which means it's coming from something else.
These anchors. That soldier must have used them to get up this cliff.
He must have been going back to Arrowhand when those machines got him.
Maybe he found something up there worth reporting back about.
We'll find out soon enough.
He probably did. Look, the reality is everybody, all of the Tenakth are desperate for water. Water is gold. So if the Tenakth can find water, of course they're going to go talk to their people about it. I mean, like, I get that there's a bit of a frustration in that it's them finding the water is taking away from their water. But there's a bit of empathy to engage with here. Of like, of course he would do this. It's kind of stupid that all of you guys are fighting with yourselves instead of working together to figure out this water thing. But like, of course that guy's got the motive to do this. And so again, this is where the personalization conversation comes in. Because if she's like, look what they're doing to us. Ugh! Like, you're missing the point. Like, this isn't about you. This is about the fact that they also need water. And so what does that mean for the potential of, like, allyship and discourse and diplomacy?
What is this?
The problem. I'm gonna need my focus.
Oh man, I really hope that super cool dude that we met at the other dam is here. Get his name.
That weapon. Looks like Draka's man tried to pry this open, but he didn't know what he was doing. And now the water's not going where it's supposed to.
Sabotage.
Or...
Bro!
Ignorance.
Look at that. I do not want people in positions of power doing what she's doing. Immediately goes to sabotage. So what does that mean? Okay, so now we're sort of beyond just like personalization, and we're into an inductively reasoned narrative about the existence of this entire problem. Which is that she is absolutely driving a narrative internally that says, these people are out to get us. They're out here to steal the water, and they have absolutely no interest in what we're about or empathizing with us or whatever. And again, she could be right, but she could be wrong. But to immediately go to the decision of this is sabotage is dangerous, because she could mobilize an army to go after them based on the idea that that wooden thing stuck in there is sabotage. Whereas if it's ignorance, maybe you don't mobilize an army. Maybe we go and try to educate ourselves about what it is that we're messing around with here. So, I mean, I appreciate that Aloy is willing to counterbalance that and say, or it's just ignorance. Like, maybe let's slow our roll here on assuming that everything is an attack. And maybe let's get into the idea that there's some real nuance here. We all want water. We're all trying to figure it out. Also, we're here. So instead of trying to figure out the intent of what happened, let's fix this. Let's fix the problem. And then figure out what we want to do about it. It's very frustrating. It is a personal pet peeve of mine when managers and people that have power make these narrative decisions about stuff without taking into account wider factors. Drives me nuts. Pull the lever, Grok!
I don't think this is gonna do anything.
Wrong lever!
Maybe if I follow that main pipe, I'll find something useful.
Come on. Come on, Aloy.
What do you need me to do?
Just,
stay there.
Stay here. Let me know if anything changes.
I would also
take a look around.
I would also appreciate it if you took this time in this silo to consider the fact that you need to chill and depersonalize things. Okay, thank you. I think DrMick has a video about that on his YouTube channel. You should watch it on my focus.
That might help.
Hey, it stopped leaking.
It looks like that stopped the water flow. Now I just need to find a way to get it to Scalding Spear.
Maybe there'll be a Banuk banging on pipes down here. Hear the song of the people.
That's the same type of machinery we found outside. Only this one's not leaking. Maybe it can help me switch the water flow.
Yeah!
Sounds like the water's switched. Gotta open the valve upstairs. Get that water circulating.
Oh,
Not
shit.
Through there.
Okay. Yes, let's just artificially delay my getting up there.
The system switched back. Couldn't hold the water pressure. I gotta get up to that valve faster.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Gildan! Gildan was his name.
Gotta open the valve upstairs. Get that water circulating.
I hope we find him again. If he was like, oopsie. Come on.
Sounds like that did something. Aloy, I can hear water in the room again.
Anything leaking?
Not that I can see.
Let's hope that means my plan worked. That should do it.
This will return water to Scalding Spear?
Checking the wound is the only way to be sure.
Draka knew what would happen if the capital was left without water. But
Oh
he
my
didn't
God.
care.
Oh my
All he
God.
wanted was to cause a crisis so he could challenge my command.
Oh my God.
We don't know that for sure.
Meet me back at the wound when you can. Please. To make sure the water will flow.
I will. Don't do anything rash about Draka.
Only an upstart acts rashly. A commander bides her time. Hey. The desert was kind to lead you to us.
Yeah, so freaking listen to me.
Things are about to get ugly between Draka and Liara. Maybe I can head it off.
Just think about that for a second. Think about how freaking frustrating it is that things are about to get escalated between the two of them because she can't get out of her own way. Communication spares you so much bullshit. So much bullshit. Just talk to the guy. Like, literally just pick a spot in the desert and just talk to him. And I could say the same thing to him. And drop your assumptions about what the other one is doing and why. And just listen to them. Ask them questions. Be curious. Find your common ground. Water is a problem. It could be the two of you versus a problem instead of you versus water, you versus you. Like, I'm not saying that Draka's a saint and that the guy is like, can do no wrong, but it is immensely frustrating to watch somebody consistently spin their wheels on a narrative that may not actually be true. And to talk about this in a more empathic way for a second, this is what anxiety spirals can sound like for people. Like, people with really crushing severe anxiety will do this. Will craft these narratives built on what ifs and then entertain the hell out of those narratives. The implications, the impact, the like the optics of it, like the whole 9 yards. And you'll start spinning yourself on stuff that's not even true. Not even true. Not even worth your time to spin your wheels on. And in the interest of a constructive conversation around this, I'm here to tell you that, like, you don't have to do that. Like, the anxiety is real. This woman is anxious as hell about the fact that water is scarce. But she's choosing to entertain that narrative. People will blame anxiety all day for that. My anxiety does that. No, it doesn't. Your anxiety doesn't do anything other than create a physiological experience. You craft the narratives around it, or perpetuate the narratives that flow through your head. And what we're seeing here by her crafting these narratives and entertaining these narratives in the way that she is that she is it is leading her to action that is harmful, potentially. In the same way that when people spiral and craft certain narratives in their severe and debilitating anxiety and give that a lot of play in their minds, they start to make decisions such as avoidance and excessive reassurance seeking that leads to the perpetuation of that anxiety, or make decisions that make things worse for themselves. There is a disciplinary action that goes into the way that we have to think about and respond to the narratives that we create. And if you have really severe anxiety that's creating a really nasty physiological sensation, it just means that there's more work that has to be done to do that. And again, I say that as a therapist who's been working with severe and debilitating anxiety for 11 years. Like, no matter how severe the anxiety is, the way in which we're going to work through it is going to have very similar bones. And that's part of it, is recognizing your locus of control around the narratives and the types of variables you're using to perpetuate those narratives. Are they real? Are they factual? Or are they abstract and buried in what ifs? Are they unknowns? Are you making it worse by the way you talk yourself through it? Chances are the answer may be yes. It's not like you're doing it on purpose. But she's a great example of that. Super anxious, doesn't know why these things are happening the way they are, has an urgent thing that she has to do about it, is anxious about her command, is anxious about her constituents, is anxious about what this means for her as a person, what this means for her survival. starts crafting some narratives that are going to cause diplomatic issues that are going to perpetuate the scenario that's making her anxious in the first place. Not great. Okay.
I see soldiers guarding the wound in the sand. But no Yara. What's going on?
Oh boy. What did she do?
I need to see the wound.
I'm afraid your presence is required in the commander's quarters.
Is everything okay?
The dissident Draka has been apprehended for interfering with the wound.
How did he interfere?
He entered the wound by force, saw that it was empty, except for a slow trickle that began when you fixed the device in the desert. He did not take it well.
Of course he didn't. I'll go meet with them.
Should have seen that coming. You mess with water, man, things get nasty. Really fast.
You have some nerve.
You're one to talk?
That doesn't sound good.
Oh, he's here.
Watch your tone.
Or what? You let the... How could you let this happen?
How did I let this happen? You're the one who sabotaged the wound in the first place. You're lucky we were able to fix it, or your head would already be on a spear.
You call that fixed? It's just a dribble. And it's not my fault. I already told you, Ukta came to me. He said he found something in the desert that might get us water. I had no idea it had anything to do with the wound.
And you expect me to believe that?
Aloy, I came for the water that was owed to us, and when I found out that there is no water, they arrested me.
As I already told you, the water is returning, but slowly. It'll be weeks before the wound is full again. Until then, I will send Arrowhand what I can.
You hid what happened to the wound. How can we believe you now?
Draka.
No, you know what? Enough of this! No more words!
I can't tell you how many times in my 11 years as a therapist I have watched conversations like what we just saw. I mean, it's literally part of why I have a job. And I don't say that like in a snarky way. I mean, like, this is common human interaction. Like, this is what arguments look like. But it is so unproductive. And what's fascinating about it is that, like, really, if you ask the two of them in their own, like, calm moments, if they think that this type of conversation is productive, they'd probably say no. I really don't know anybody who would look at this and say that this is productive. If you do look at this and say it's productive, I'd be curious why, down in the comments. I'm going to be selling out for YouTubing. Anyway. It is enormously difficult when you are physiologically aroused to engage curiosity. It's not impossible, but it is really hard. The problem with both of these people in front of us is that they are not operating with the conversational variables that are at, like, on the table right now. They are operating on their assumptions. They are operating on the preconceived notions that they brought to this conversation, and they are each making attempts to justify that position as opposed to figure it out. There is a saying that a radio host I used to listen to a lot would say that I really appreciated and have said many times, both personally and professionally, which is, do you want to be right or do you want to get it right? And unfortunately, so many of us skew to, I want to be right. Because in order to work together in this, they are each going to have to acknowledge for themselves the vulnerable thing, which is that I wasn't entirely correct on how this went down. We have a common goal, we have a common need, a common threat, and I didn't handle this particularly well. I was doing my best, but the impact was bad. They both would have to acknowledge that. It is so vulnerable to do that. Most people don't want to be the first one to do that. Most people are afraid that if they're the first one to do that, the other one won't do that and will instead step all over them. And maybe you're right, but maybe you're not. Ultimately, in order for this conversation to go well, they each have to step aside from their own preconceived notions about the other's intentions and engage curiosity. The amount of difference it would make if one of them was simply to ask the other one, can you walk me through what your decision making was on that? Because I'd like to understand it better. That question would save them this argument. It would make a huge difference. And the amount of times in my life I've had to intervene in this kind of conversation, and I can literally look at a person and tell them to ask that question, and people won't ask that question. They will act as if it is the most difficult thing in the world to ask that question. People will fight you tooth and nail to stay away from curiosity. Because our physiological arousal is high. We feel a sense of threat, even in these types of interactions that, for all intents and purposes, from a survival standpoint, are benign. Like, this conversation is not actually a survival issue, but unfortunately, our brain still thinks it is. And when you start to understand the biology of what happens in these interactions, it also makes a big difference. If these two are so heightened and so flustered that they are operating from their amygdalas rather than their prefrontal cortex, they are quite literally not capable of hearing what the other one is saying. And thus will fall back on their assumptions and their narratives. So it just creates this horrible spiral of positive feedback. So, long story short on this, the way that you cut through this type of interaction is to engage curiosity. And to recognize that it's not as vulnerable as you think it is in the conversation to do that. There's real strength in doing that. In fact, you take charge of a conversation sometimes when you do that, because you can disarm somebody with that. Being curious and giving a person an opportunity to ask a curiosity-based question will disarm them. But hard to get people to do that. It's a skill. You have to learn how to do it. You have to intentionally practice it, and it ain't going to happen just because you want it to.
Consider that a challenge.
Gather your squads then, and meet us at the gate of the vanquished.
So, let's get other people killed, because we don't want to make any kind of effort to grow our interpersonal skills. Fuck it. Just, bring your people, I'll bring mine, and we'll fight, because that's what we culturally do, and that's what we think's important, and we're not going to make any effort to use this beautiful language we have in order to try to solve this issue. Let's just get more people killed. I'm literally willing to go to the ends of the earth to ensure that a water shortage doesn't kill my people, but because you're a dick, I'll get people killed because we're going to fight you. It is idiotic behavior.
Challenge to prepare for. Leave me.
This will be the end of the clan.
Yeah.
I have to stop it. We have to stop it.
Hold on a second. Help me understand.
Beautiful! Aloy! Doing the thing that your boy wants everybody else to do, right there. Look at that. Aloy didn't react to what he just said. Aloy says, hold on a second, help me understand. It is the most beautiful form of engagement. Most beautiful form of engagement. Help me understand your thought process.
What do you mean, the end of the clan?
Both sides will take their most loyal squads to the Gate of the Vanquished. Then they'll butcher each other as part of a ritual challenge. But it won't stop there. Whoever wins will try to wipe out the loser's loyalists all over the desert. The fighting could last for months. Those two scabheads are going to doom us all.
Can't you stop them?
I'm a chaplain. I provide counsel. I cannot force them to heed it. Even Chief Akaro can't intervene. It is a matter for the clan alone.
It's an amazing thing. Cultural norms are powerful forces. And desire to survive within a group that perpetuates those norms is I just totally lost my train of thought. Hold on a second. I gotta back up here. When you have to survive in a group by perpetuating certain cultural norms that have developed over time, it creates a real bind for a sense of control. And you hear it in the language here. They have to. They can't. All these sorts of things. And I know that I beat this to death ad nauseum in every playthrough we do, but it is just so deeply important. Like, I really hope that at least one person in these playthroughs has taken this away. Which is that we use language and symbols and culture and norms and rituals often as a way to diminish the general sense of autonomy that people have as a means to influence their environment. And so what I mean by this is that these two are going to go out to this point in the desert to go fight each other because they're not willing to connect interpersonally. And the norms of the tribe, again, reinforced by survival, dictate that this group of loyalists must go out and beat each other up. And the reality is, no, they don't. No, they don't. At any point in time, the Tenakth could decide to drop these things if they wanted to. And I'm not the moral arbiter of what's best to do. The point here is that at any point they could decide, hey, this isn't really great. This gets us killed. This causes a bloodbath when we were worried about water causing a blood. Like, why not just die of dehydration? Why we got to do it this way? So those two could go out in the desert and their loyalists could, if they wanted to, look at them and say, nah. You know, we all kind of talked. We don't want to do that. So we're not. And you might say to yourself, well, yeah, but then, you know, what they could get like jailed, or they could be thrown into cages and poked and stabbed with cattle prods. Well, yes, or the people who would be necessary to enforce that could also say, nah. Like, there's real autonomy there. But we buy in. We start to believe that these things must happen. This is a little bit of the, you know, we've been joking throughout this playthrough, you know, I'm pro-union. Well, there's a little bit of that in everyday life. Like, if all of the loyalists said, nah, you two could go kill each other if you want, but we don't want any part of this. That's essentially the power of unionization. These people only have power because it's this like faux veneer thing. The people could decide at any point, you know what? Nah. I'm not into that ritual. I am not saying that cultural norms and rituals are a bad thing. I think it's perfectly okay to have those things. The part that always bothers me, and the part that causes problems for people, is when they start to believe that they must engage in them. That it is necessary to do these things, that you have to. You can choose to. And if you choose to, you should know why you're choosing to. If there is a loyalist to Draka, for example, who says, yeah, brother, I believe in what you're doing for me and my family, I'm out in that desert with you. I am absolutely out there because it connects with me personally. Customs aside, I don't really give a shit about the custom. I'm there because I want to be there. By all means, do that. But if there's people that are out there that are like, you know, this doesn't really feel good for me. Like, I'm sort of like putting myself in danger here. I'm doing it because I have to, because the tribal law dictates. Not great. So be aware of the ways in which you have control in your life. And remember that, like, more often than not, you have the power to back out of things and say no to things that you probably think you don't have the power to do that with. And people will spend, I know there's going to be a comment down below that's going to say, no, DrMick, you're wrong. There's always a choice. Sometimes there's a very clear-cut, easier choice. Sometimes the alternative choice really sucks. But there's always a choice. And so these people are about to make a choice that's going to potentially lead to catastrophic outcomes for the clan.
What is this gate?
The doorway to a dead cauldron. A symbol of what the tribe aspires to. The defeat of deranged machines.
Dead. What shut it off?
No one knows. But it is a place of great significance for our clan. Even greater now, since it will mark the onslaught of a massacre.
What makes you think I can help you stop them? I'm not even from this tribe.
They both owe you a debt. You aided them when no one else could. And you've seen into their hearts, just like I have. Misguided in different ways, but no less worthy of the people they protect. Your words might be enough to spear some sense into them.
Yeah, well, they're not exactly good listeners.
And you are no ordinary speaker. Especially with a bow in your hand. I will go to the Gate of the Vanquished, southwest of here, to stall them. But without you, I'm afraid we'll run out of body bags fast.
If what Jataka says is true, Yara and Draka will end up killing a lot more than just each other. There has to be something I can do.
That's a big ask, dude. That's a big ask. Holy crap. Den, thank you for the 20 months.
You up for a game of strike later?
Laser glide in.
Oh, man. Get this campfire. Oh. All right. Stuff's intense, man. The Tenakth are a very complex people. Go figure.
Room on me. Send it to my stash.
All right. Gate of the Vanquished. We'll have to see how the drama unfolds in part 17. Gonna be a doozy, huh? Put our diplomatic skills to the test. Thank you very much, my friends, as always, for making it to the end of the episode, for watching all of these. I am grateful that you are giving my playthrough of this beautiful game a shot. I hope you've been enjoying it as much as I have. Thank you for leaving thumbs ups and comments. I read every comment. I don't respond to all of them, but I read all of them. So thank you for all of those comments and for keeping things spoiler free. That's very cool of you to do. And for those of you that support the stream financially, thank you so much for doing that. If you are binging, see you right here in the next episode. If you're waiting for the next one to come out, I'll get it out as soon as I can. I appreciate all of you immensely, and I'll see you in the next one.